Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dean Parmley. I'm the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs for the Boonshoft School of Medicine here at Wright State University. And on behalf of the School of Medicine, we welcome you to this, the 32nd annual memorial program for our Anatomical Gift Program. Today we express our gratitude and our appreciation and our celebration for the donation of your families, your loved ones. We have an afternoon of ceremony here, followed by reception and a graveside cemetery visit, which you're welcome to participate in. I'd like now to ask Mr. Dan Miska, who is the director of the Anatomical Gift Program, to come forward, and he will fill you in on the rest of the afternoon's program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Parmley. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dan Miska. I am the director, proud to be the director of the Wright State University Boonshoft School of Medicine Anatomical Gift Program, and I'd like to thank all of you for coming out today as well. Today is a very special day because today we honor and remember your loved ones for the unselfish gift of their remains to the Anatomical Gift Program. Due to their generosity, thousands upon thousands of medical students, nursing students, physicians, medical researchers, and many, many others have had the opportunity to learn about the amazing structure and function of the human body. Now, I understand that for possibly many of you, it may have been very difficult to accept or even understand why your loved ones would want to donate their remains to the Anatomical Gift Program. My hope is that after today, you will see how your loved one's gift has positively affected the lives of so many people. Along with being the director of the Anatomical Gift Program, I also teach anatomy here at Wright State University. I teach about the structure of the human body, the foundation of medicine. Every day, I get to do what I love and share my knowledge of anatomy with my students. And this simply would not be possible without your loved ones. So, thank you. I'd like to share a quick story. And this is a story about how the donors of the Anatomical Gift Program have taught a person to appreciate the structure and function of the human body. It's also a story about how the donors, your loved ones, have shaped someone's career. But most importantly, this is going to be a story about how the donors have positively impacted a person's life. So this story begins a while back with a person who took his first anatomy course in high school, where he learned anatomy using only textbooks and plastic models. And this allowed him to gain only a general understanding of the human body. But luckily, he would go on to take additional anatomy courses as an undergraduate student studying sports medicine in college. Only now, he was going to learn his anatomy using human anatomical donors. And it just so happens that those donors were from Wright State University's Anatomical Gift Program. This was his first exposure to human donors, so he was a little bit nervous at first, naturally. But after working with the donors, his nervousness was replaced with an excitement and an appreciation for how amazing the structure of the human body is. This excitement and appreciation soon developed into somewhat of a passion, and this passion became so strong, it changed his career path. The person who had went to school to study sports medicine now wanted to teach anatomy when he was done with college. So when he graduated with a bachelor's degree in sports medicine, he attended Wright State University, where he earned a master's degree of anatomy. And it was during this time his appreciation for not only the human body grew, but also the donors of the Anatomical Gift Program. because he began to realize that this knowledge he was learning would be the same knowledge passed on to students, thousands of students. And then they would take this knowledge and care for thousands upon thousands of patients. 6 years after he graduated from Wright State University with a master's in anatomy, he returned. But only this time, it was not as a student, it was as an anatomy teacher. The same anatomy teacher who stands before you today as the director of the Anatomical Gift Program. As you now know, that was my story. But most importantly, it was also a story about your loved ones, a story about the donors of the Anatomical Gift Program, a story that would not be possible without each and every one of them. Your loved ones have taught me to appreciate the human body. Your loved ones have shaped my career, and your loved ones have had a huge impact on my life. I want to thank all of you, as well as your loved ones, for their unselfish gift of their remains to the Anatomical Gift Program, the impact they had on me, and the impact they have had and will continue to have on all of my students. Thank you. My story is just one story. There are many, many, many other stories, thousands of other stories. Today, you will hear from 5 other people, and each one of them will share their story about how the donors of the Anatomical Gift Program have positively impacted their lives. Now, what's really neat about the 5 speakers you're about to hear from, each one of them is a current or former Wright State University student. And when I approached each one of them about speaking at today's memorial service, there was no hesitation. It was an instant, yes, I would love to do that. I want to let them know what their loved ones have done for me. So I think you'll really enjoy hearing what our speakers have to say. Our first speaker is David Brendel. David is a senior here at Wright State University, and his major is biomedical engineering. David?
Thanks, Dan. So, as Mr. Miska mentioned, my name is David Brendel. I'm a 4th-year biomedical engineering student here at Wright State. Pursuing higher education can be both rewarding and strenuous. Students are bombarded with concepts and topics that they may have never seen before, and they must reason through them to make sense of it all. But for what purpose? Is it to acquire the skills needed to fulfill their lifetime goals? Maybe just to be knowledgeable of some topic of their choice? Oftentimes, a student will have goals that they will pursue with a fiery passion, or some hope to find that passion at some point or another. Imagine a case where a student falls into the latter category. Let us imagine a student who, after being a guitar player for a number of years, and after producing music with a couple of the most influential contemporary cinematic composers, felt that pursuing a music-related degree would be most appropriate for his life. It would supplement his already building success. But what if it was not what they wanted to do for 5 years down the road? Let us assume that this student has no ambitions or care for their schooling. Music was the only important thing in their life. Imagine that when this student applied for a major at a local university, they were turned down because they had no formal training in a particular instrument. What if this was actually the best thing to happen to that student? It turns out that that student's story is my own. I had to decide whether I wanted to continue with the music, something that I had not established a true passion for, or find something else to do. When I was in high school, I bought my first medical textbook, read through every page, answered all the questions. It was fun, but it was not useful for what was important at that time, which was school. I had a strong interest in the science, however. Long story short, I ended up choosing biomedical engineering as my major. It was already something that I had an interest in, and it covered nearly every science that the university offered. It just seemed right, and little did I know that the Anatomical Gift Program was right at Wright State and would have secured my career pathway. It has inspired me to a level beyond anything I could have imagined. So please, Let me take the time to describe what the donors of the GIFT program have made possible and how they, much like your loved ones, have changed my life forever. Students in the biomedical engineering program at Wright State often have very compact and busy schedules. During my freshman year, I was taking human anatomy and physiology courses, while most of my peers had began those courses during their second and third years. Had I taken these classes later, I very well may have had a different life perspective and possibly far fewer successes. While certainly challenged and had a couple of the best instructors that I have ever had, I was also deeply moved by the quality of education. Thanks to you and your loved ones, a learning experience has been provided that is simply irreplaceable and will continue to touch lives in years to come. The very root of my success as an engineering student and a professional stems directly from my experience with what I've learned and gained from the donors, much like your loved ones. My freshman year was a transition period between not being interested in academics and strongly pushing myself to better myself as a student and professional. Similarly, I went from thinking there is nothing good in education to finding that great opportunities can be found everywhere. You just have to find them. I was clearly naive. While being a student in the anatomy and physiology course, I found myself in a very special place, the home of the GIFT program. There, students have the opportunity to learn about what is arguably the most fundamental discipline in medical sciences, human anatomy. Generally, engineers develop products and devices to meet a person's or society's demand. They make use of technical equipment to analyze and observe physical phenomenon. However, the technology eventually becomes obsolete, not useful. Keeping up with the technology costs a lot of money. There's no better way to study the human anatomy than to study from the human itself. There is no need to buy a new version, no need to update the hardware. Additionally, the condition of the donor does not affect the value for education. This is what's so fascinating about biology and what continues to tantalize my curiosity. For me, studying something with only the best resources have provided me the opportunity to have the best possible education. There is simply no replacement. Images, videos, chalkboards do not provide students with an intuition nearly as well as when you're learning from the best. I was so moved by what I was learning that I wanted to share it with others. It was a perfect storm. After getting over the fact that I had wasted time not directing my ambition, I decided to change this for the better. With an Expo marker in hand and a whiteboard, I recorded videos of me teaching others about the structure of the human heart and other miscellaneous anatomical structures. To date, more than 10,000 YouTubers across the globe have viewed these videos, and it all stemmed by how much I was moved by what I learned in anatomy class. Due to the success of the videos, the naive child that I once was began to develop into someone with more confidence and ambition. To extend the success, I realized that I wish I could have had such an amazing experience sooner than what I did. The only way that I thought I could give back to the community was to volunteer my time as a tutor. So I did this for just over a year. That still wasn't enough. I completed a couple terms of a more narrowed study of human anatomy and became an undergraduate teaching assistant for anatomy class. But even that did not share the experience enough. So I found myself in an interesting dilemma. As it turns out, students at Wright State chapter of the Biomedical Engineering Society were planning an outreach event for high school students to bring to our school. They had hoped to interest high school students to pursue a degree in engineering. This would be a good outlet for me to incorporate some level of anatomy. An event called Exploring Anatomy at the medical school had huge success in years past. Unfortunately, it slowed to a halt due to shifting in management at the medical school. This was another perfect storm scenario. I wanted an outlet to share my experiences. A local group was planning to bring in young people to our school, and the medical school could have had someone to pick up the Exploring Anatomy baton. I made a few suggestions to the Biomedical Engineering Society, and I became the lead organizer for an event we called Engineering and Medicine. High school students toured the Wright State Engineering Building and learned much about the hybridization of engineering and medicine from within the medical school's anatomy labs. I had the privilege to share precisely what I've been wanting to do for so long with young students. It all stemmed from you and your loved one's choice to provide the incredible gift of education. Each of the high school students filled out a survey at the end of their experience. Many of the students were so moved by what they saw and what they learned that they are now considering the pursuit of biomedical engineering as a degree in college. Some of those students even said they want to come to Wright State for that degree. In fact, the participating high school instructors said that they were so interested in returning that they were very interested in returning the next year with a new wave of students. Not only has this experience provided me with leadership and event organization skills, but it has also provided me an outlet to provide the experience that I had hoped to do for so long. The engineering and medicine event is presently being organized for more high school students during this fall. Here's how the donors have even made an impact beyond the coasts of the United States. I work for a program that is funded by the Air Force Research Labs. Due to my surge of ambition, I had quickly become an active member in the organization and established myself as a student leader. In this case, my boss just happened to be aware of those heart videos that I produced years back in my experience with the anatomy labs. So I was instructed to work with a team that was developing surgical training materials for medical professionals on the battlefield. This project worked closely with the donors of the gift program. Thanks to the donors, battlefield surgeons now have a new mode of medical training, and many lives may be saved as a result thereof. Oddly enough, the heart videos that I made previously actually helped me get the job in the first place. So what is next? How else can one share their experiences with the world to make a positive impact? What I have gained is truly unforgettable. So in the future, I'll be continuously finding ways to make a difference in the world, whatever they may be. One thing that I know for certain, however, is that I can only aspire to impact someone's life the same way that your loved ones and the other donors have made for me. I would like to thank all of you for your time, and even more so, I would like to thank you and your loved ones for playing an integral role in changing my life, and many others to come. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Our next speaker is Hannah Schneider. Hannah is a nursing student here at Wright State University. And I guess I should tell you, I fibbed a little bit before when I said all the students accepted right away when I asked them to speak today. I didn't even have to ask Hannah, because one day she was in my office and we were talking about some class-related stuff, and somehow the memorial service program came up. And before I could ask her, which I was going to do, she didn't know that, she said, I want to speak at that program. I want to be the speaker. I want to represent the nursing program. So naturally I said, of course. Hannah?
I know that there is not a lot that I can say to stop any sort of grief like losing a loved one. That is neither my purpose nor my motivation for speaking to you today. My incentive to be here is to tell you how in the few short months that I was able to be part of such a gift, I was touched by your donation. Though my story is just one of many, I hope that you can take it home with you as a momentum of my gratitude. My name is Hannah Schneider. I'm a junior at Wright State University and am working towards completing my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degree through the Miami Valley College of Nursing and Health. I was born and raised in a small town called Hallsville, located in southern Ohio. The county school that surrounded my small town struggled. Poor and crowded, my school fought to offer their students the same opportunities that larger city schools had. As far as the science department went, I have a vague memory of looking at the anatomy of a worm that lay on every other table in the 7th grade. But I am thankful for this, because those experiences have allowed me to truly see how fortunate I am right now. I can realize the once-in-a-lifetime experience I have encountered here as an undergraduate at Wright State University. Absorbing every last piece of knowledge was the highest priority to me, because I could realize the opportunities that were right under my nose. Well, in the middle of my anatomy series, I found out that my boyfriend had to receive spinal surgery to correct a herniated disc. Having studied patient care and disease process prepared me little for how stressful and nerve-wracking it can be to see a loved one fall so vulnerable. He was in pain every day, worse in the mornings. Our favorite activities like camping and canoeing fell to the wayside due to the disease. Anyone who has experienced chronic pain or being the primary caregiver of someone in chronic pain knows how much pressure it can put on a relationship. And it seems the more you love the person, the stronger that pressure seems to be. We settled our affairs before the operation. He scheduled days off work, I school. We wrote a living will and signed the appropriate documents designating myself as power of attorney just in case. And after half a dozen angry phone calls to the insurance company and a couple mental breakdowns later, we were finally ready. Of all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into preparing for the surgery, the experience post-op was almost enjoyable. From the surgeons down to the young hospital volunteer, every moment with the staff was a sigh of relief. Over the next couple months, my loved one's pain subsided, and now we enjoy every second together with that much more appreciation. My story to me is nothing short of a miracle, and is a miracle I get to experience every day. The power that medicine has to improve the lives of the people that it touches are taken for granted. My story, though unique to me, I'm sure can be told by many. I, as a nursing student, am excited, to say the least, to be able to replay the blessings that I received by all the doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, nursing assistants, physical therapists, faculty staff, and volunteers for that period in my life. However, what everyone has done in this room today is far greater than what I will ever be able to do in a lifetime as a caregiver. You have contributed, enlightened, enhanced, and embellished the education of countless caregivers who will go on to educate more caregivers who will also change the lives of thousands. Your donation is like a ripple in the water that creates a tsunami of miracles. Of all the people in the world out there making promises and guarantees, the individuals in this room have actually done so. Your loved one will continue on past the lives of yours and mine into the future, where they will land and guide the hands of a surgeon who's repairing a heart, and will sharpen the eyes of a nurse who is helping to deliver a woman's first baby, and will strengthen the muscles of a physical therapist who is helping someone to walk for the first time. It is still hard for me today to communicate the gratitude that I hold for the skilled caregivers that took such great care of me and my loved one, just like it is hard for me today to verbalize my gratitude for your generosity. I hope that something of what I said will stick with you, for I know that the life of your loved one will stick with me forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Our next speaker is Mark Thoma. Mark is an anatomy graduate student here at Wright State University. He's in his second year, and he is currently a teaching assistant for our neuroscience graduate anatomy course. Mark?
Good afternoon and welcome. As Dan said, my name is Mark Thoma, and I'm a second-year graduate student in the anatomy program here at Wright State. Graduates of the Masters of Anatomy program go on to become physicians, dentists, physical therapists, a variety of other health professionals, and teachers. I am honored and humbled to be here today representing the anatomy program and thanking you and your loved ones for the generous and selfless gift they have given us. Human anatomy is defined as the branch of science concerned with the bodily structure of humans. As I quickly learned, we are not just trying to learn structures in anatomy, we are forming relationships. We studied the relationship muscles have to other muscles. We studied the relationship muscles have to nerves. As one of our professors likes to say, we have famous couples in anatomy. Our famous couples are not Brad and Angelina, or Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, but nerves and arteries that travel through the body together. All of these relationships are extremely important in anatomy, as they show us the integration of the human body. They show us how each and every structure, no matter how large or small, fits together to create an individual. These relationships are just words on paper without our donors, your loved ones. Today we are here to celebrate what I feel is the most important relationship in anatomy, the student and teacher relationship. Your loved ones are our teachers. A professor once said, anyone who has spent any time teaching or learning human anatomy knows that no textbook, no computer program, and no model can replace or even come close to replicating the experience and knowledge derived from working on the body of an individual. One of the things our donors have taught us that we cannot learn from a model or a computer program is that there is no hard rule on the relationships of the body. A nerve in my body may travel in a slightly different path than that same nerve in your body. Our donors have taught us just how unique we all are. It is not often one can say that their greatest teacher is someone they were never able to converse with. On the surface, my donor and I are complete strangers. I do not know what type of career she had, how she passed, or who she has survived by. I do not know what made her laugh or cry. I do not know the source of her greatest joy. Did she like to watch movies, read, or play sports? Unfortunately, regarding her personal life, I do not know much more than her name. However, one single act has taught me everything I need to know about the type of person she and your loved ones were, and the type of person I should strive to be. The gift of an anatomical donation means that your loved ones were selfless, generous, thoughtful, and dedicated to enriching the lives of others. Personally, I'm a huge sports fan, so naturally I love quotes from famous coaches. In my opinion, the greatest coach and teacher sports has ever seen was John Wooden, the former men's basketball coach at UCLA. Mr. Wooden is quoted as saying, "Happiness begins where selfishness ends." My life has been enriched by some truly happy people, you and your loved ones. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. After graduation, I, like many of my classmates, would like to attend medical school. The life lessons and the knowledge I have gained from you and your loved ones will no doubt make me a better physician. I will carry these with me throughout my life and career. To conclude, I would like to share with you another one of my favorite quotes. The great Green Bay Packers coach Vince Lombardi once said, "Individual commitment to a group effort, that is what makes a team work, a company work, a society work, a civilization work." Once again, on behalf of the Masters of Anatomy students here at Wright State, I would like to thank you and your loved ones for the generous and selfless commitment to our group effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Although I would have liked to hear a famous quote from a former Browns coach, but that's okay. Our next speaker is Jordan Brunswick. Jordan is currently a second-year medical student here at Wright State University. I've known Jordan quite a while. Jordan was in my undergraduate anatomy courses. He was in my med school anatomy course. He's helped teach some of my anatomy labs. And if Jordan seems a little nervous to you when he's speaking, it's probably because he has a huge final exam tomorrow. So I just want to especially thank you, Jordan, for taking the study time out of your day to come speak with us. Jordan?
Just keep bringing up that exam, don't you? Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for coming. It is an exceptional honor for me to be standing here speaking to you all on behalf of the Boonshoft School of Medicine. I sincerely hope that I am able to impress upon each and every one of you the collective gratitude of all the medical students and my own personal feelings as well. Last year when Dan asked me to speak at the memorial service, I was so nervous that I just asked him what I was supposed to say. And he said, "You've been around the labs for a long time. Just speak from the heart and tell them what working with their loved ones has meant to you." So I spent the past year trying to find the right words to somehow describe the incredible change that working with the donors has made in me. I soon realized that speaking from the heart was not only the best way, it was the only way. That's because in my heart is where I have been influenced the most by your loved ones. Now, to give you some perspective on Dan's idea of a long time, my first occasion to spend time with the donors was as a junior in high school in 2006. It was at a pre-med day here at Wright State. I was excited beyond belief when I got my schedule and saw I would be touring the anatomy labs. I had taken anatomy previously in high school. However, the knowledge that can be gained by learning from donors as opposed to textbooks is a huge difference. Dan Miska himself led my tour group, and he spent most of the time explaining the benefits from learning from donors versus textbooks. I barely heard him. From the moment I walked in, I was in awe. The people that I saw had loved life to such a degree that they gave as a final gift their worldly selves so that students like me could learn all that we could. This was all done in the hope that we could pay their gift forward, using our knowledge to better the lives of others and even save when called for. I felt unworthy of such a gift, but I vowed to learn all that I possibly could and to honor them by doing so. It was an overwhelming moment, but I realized that my future was tied to their sacrifice. Fast forward 3 years. I was again here at Wright State as a student about to take my undergrad anatomy courses. I was incredibly excited, but also surprisingly scared. I can only describe it as fear in the sense that this was a major step in my life, and I wasn't sure whether I could handle it and learn everything I needed to. At the end of my courses, I simply could not walk away. I loved working with the donors so much that I became an undergrad anatomy TA in the anatomy labs and spent 4 more quarters doing that. Now, it may seem a little strange, but I felt a sense of peace in the labs. There was much to be learned and to be appreciated from working with your loved ones. Last year, my dream of getting into medical school was finally realized. I was incredibly sad to know that I could not work in the anatomy labs anymore. However, I knew I'd have one last hurrah, the 10-week human structure course at the beginning of first year. This was it. I was finally going to learn anatomy in the truest sense. By far my favorite course to date, I was able to spend what seemed like most of my waking hours working with my donor, George. That time is something that I will treasure for the rest of my life. He had a fantastic way of unknowingly teaching me the practical, tangible facts that are a part of our curriculum, as well as intangible, invaluable life lessons such as respect, sacrifice, and honor. I often went into the labs late at night to work alone because it was just much easier to appreciate how magnificent these people were. In total, over the course of nearly 8 quarters or 88 weeks, I've come into contact with and been irreversibly changed by over 25 of your loved ones. During all this time, I felt that a debt was accumulating, one which would take me a lifetime of service to pay back. Throughout the 8 quarters of combined undergraduate and graduate anatomy, I never forgot that the reason I was able to learn the most fundamental aspect of medicine was because people far, far stronger than I had given the ultimate gift to allow it to happen. Now, I know by this point some of you are thinking, geez, this guy spent way too much time in the anatomy labs. Well, you're probably right. But there's something that I haven't told you yet. During all the time that I was fortunate enough to learn from your loved ones, I was able to use what I had learned to help others in their times of need. Over the past 4 years since I graduated high school and to this day, I run on a volunteer rescue squad as an EMT. And because I learned in such a comprehensive and efficient way, I'm able to more confidently assess and treat the injuries of my patients. It is a skill I will have for the rest of my life. I remember several eye-opening occasions where the knowledge I learned in class I was able to put to use in the field with my patients, sometimes mere days after learning it. I've used every encounter as a lesson of how to better treat my next patient, and I've learned some incredible lessons along the way. Now, the road ahead for all of us is long and paved with uncertainty, but I do know this. The memories I have and the understanding of the sacrifice that your family members so generously made will be always with me as a source of strength when I start to falter. For that, I owe them an incredible debt of gratitude. I feel a lifetime of service is not enough time to pay that back. I will continue to honor that sacrifice by using what I've learned to help others as often as I can throughout my career and after. I consider myself an incredibly fortunate person. I'm studying for a job that enables me to help others in their times of greatest need, as so many others have done for me. In closing, I ask one simple favor. On behalf of everyone who has had the privilege of learning from the donors, and especially for me personally, join with me in honoring the gifts that your loved ones have given. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jordan. Our final speaker today is a former Wright State University student. She is now a practicing physical therapist, and I've known Laura quite a while. I won't tell you the year she was in my class because that will date us both. Laura?
Thank you, Dan. Hello, everyone. It is a great honor to stand before you today in appreciation for the generous gift your loved ones have made to the Anatomical Gift Program here at Wright State. Wright State, wrong college, a phrase many of us Wright State students and affiliates have heard over the years from our other Ohio rival schools. But Wright State for me truly was the beginning of my future. As an exercise biology student from 2004 to 2008, I took many classes that would prepare me for my goal to become a physical therapist. The most influential class for me was anatomy and was my first exposure to working with donors. In fact, I was in the first class that Dan taught here at Wright State. Like many of the students here today, I didn't know what to expect from this new experience, and in all honesty, I was nervous. Prior to the first day of anatomy lab, our instructors shared with us the details of the Anatomical Gift Program and the great appreciation and respect they hold for the donors. I didn't fully understand the gravity of this donation until we began to work with the donors. After completing my anatomy courses, my interest in anatomy continued to grow, and I was selected to be an undergraduate teaching assistant in the anatomy lab. This experience allowed me to help other students learn the important details and workings of the human body. After earning my bachelor's degree, I was accepted to the University of Dayton's Doctor of Physical Therapy program. Again, I had the privilege to work with donors, which were donors from Wright State, to further investigate the perfection that is the human body. I was surprised to learn that some of my classmates had never worked with donors before, only learning anatomy from textbooks. Because of my hands-on experience in the anatomy lab at Wright State, I felt I had a great advantage over the non-experienced students. After I successfully completed my graduate anatomy classes, I was selected from a competitive interview process from my other classmates as a graduate assistant in the anatomy lab at UD. Not only did this opportunity allow me to review and continue to investigate the human structure, but also financially, paying for half of my graduate tuition. After graduating in 2011, I continued to work at UD in the anatomy lab as associate faculty, which allows me to learn and grow as a clinician and assist new students in revealing the marvelous structure of the human body. As a physical therapist, understanding the intricate structure of the human body is essential. Understanding the mechanics of the body directly influences a therapist's plan of care and selecting exercises and manual techniques to realign the body into its normal, healthy state. I honor each of your loved ones every day when I educate and treat my patients. Without the Anatomical Gift Program and your loved ones, I would not be able to provide my patients with the best care possible. On behalf of all physical therapists, I would like to thank you for your loved ones' generosity and for giving us the unique opportunity to fully understand the workings of the human body. For me, and for many, Wright State, Wright College, thanks to the Anatomical Gift Program and the generosity of your loved ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Just a couple things before we conclude today's program. At the conclusion of today's program, all of our guests are invited to attend a reception in the Endeavor Room, which is right through these doors across the hallway. Guests are also encouraged to visit our beautiful Rockefeld Cemetery. It's a beautiful day to visit the cemetery. Although there is no ceremony at the cemetery, you will have the opportunity to view the final resting place for many of our donors of the Anatomical Gift Program. If you do not wish to visit the cemetery, you may go directly to the reception. At the reception, there will be several Wright State University students who will be available to share their experiences with you, as well as answer any questions you may have. If you do wish to visit Rockefeld Cemetery, you may proceed to the front of the Student Union, where you first entered today, for transport to the cemetery either before or after you attend the reception, whichever one you'd like to do. Students will be available to escort you to the buses, as well as assist in boarding if needed. Please note that due to the very large volume of guests today, you cannot drive your own vehicle to the cemetery. You must take one of the buses. Also of major importance, please be aware that the last bus carrying guests to the cemetery will leave the Student Union at 5:30 p.m., and the last bus carrying guests back to the Student Union will be leaving the cemetery at 6 o'clock p.m. So again, the last bus going to the cemetery is 5:30. The last bus returning to the Student Union is 6. Also, I wanted to let you know that at the front desk out there, as you're walking to the reception, you'll see a little L-shaped desk, and there'll be some employees there, some staff from the Anatomical Gift Program. We do have our bound red volumes here today. The bound red volumes contain the names of all of our donors at the Anatomical Gift Program. Each name is written hand calligraphy, and it's really neat to see your loved one's name in the book. So if you're interested in seeing that, you can ask one of the ladies at the desk outside. And also, before we conclude today's ceremony, I did want to point out one donor specifically by name, because there was an accident and his name was left out of our program today, and I wanted to apologize for that. His name was Charles B. Brown, and wherever his family is sitting today, I want you to know that we are sorry for that, and his donation has not been forgotten, and it's very much appreciated. So today, all of us have shared how your loved ones have impacted our knowledge of the structure and function of the human body, our current and future careers, and our lives. You heard from 6 different people with 6 different stories. There are so many other people with many other stories. And I know a lot of them would probably be very similar, but some of them might be very different. But what I do know is the message of the stories would be the same. Your loved ones' donations have had and will continue to have a positive impact on the lives of so many people, thousands upon thousands of people. how will their unselfish gifts impact your lives? I wonder what your stories will be. I would like to once again thank everyone for attending today's program. At this time, we will conclude the program with a moment of silence for all of your loved ones. Thank you.